Hello, everybody. It's like we're live now. And welcome to Line of Duty, episode 2. And I think it'd be fun to ask Daniel what he thinks, because what he said to me when we've been chatting, like we do. So, Daniel, what did you think of this episode?
Well, that's second episode. And a second episode is a lot better because I find that some of the new, I find that some of the new actors to the show have started to really find the I find the episode especially cool. He has the plays who I felt was kind of ropey at certain scenes in the first episode, but now she's kind of got a bit of comfort with the character. So yeah, and so yeah, and I really do find that it kind of picks up pretty well for the you see Trotman getting tossed out there, and also I felt that it was a pretty interesting stuff scene and checking and checking in on the news updates because like the episode so of her tuning into a Sky News sort of broadcast. What did you think of this episode before we go into the episode in a more proper context?
Yeah, no, I think episode 1 in most series of Line of Duty, because of the setup of a new set of characters, they have to do a lot of setting. They have to basically establish a lot. That's
Yeah,
why I think the episode ones tend to always be a bit slower. And then by
yeah,
episode 2, it's like you've established who you're dealing with, and then it's like motor time. And
yeah,
I think Denton is I sort of said this last week. I think she's one of the best villains they've done in this show, and this episode it's starting to show that
yeah,
she's very layered. She's got like the veil is starting to come off now,
yeah,
very much with Denton. And obviously you've got, like you said,
yeah,
now the fact that Georgia's death is it's it's hanging over everything now, and it's sort of really starting to get to some of the core cast,
yeah,
and it's nice to see like how much it is affecting like Steve and even Hastings. I think so. That's
yeah.
nice. But no, I
And
think it's the right choice to have this. It feels like almost like a day afterwards, doesn't it? Or like
yeah,
almost.
and then there's a real somber art. This feel like the stuff at the episode because it does feel as though like it's a couple and is after obviously the Joe guy tossing Georgia out there and and to be honest and and to be
Actually, I'm
honest
just thinking. I think it's the same day.
is it?
Be- well, think about Steve in the interview,
Yeah, because you still, yeah, because he's still in a state of shock, isn't he?
and and he looks like he's still dealing with his injuries. So it's probably the same day,
Yeah,
which is a really good idea because it does, like I said, it has this mood, doesn't it? And like
yeah,
it's sort of, and that's what I mean. Like when this show does a shock, it's not for shock value, and I think this episode also proves that there's a
yeah.
point to when they do these things, and it moves the story forward.
Yeah, and there's also some really nice character development with the Warren three characters, because there's a lot of in-depth character development, but children in particular in the next episode that there was an ice because there's a pull in the ice we tip. It's a character development in this episode as well, which is really early in the ice because the core three characters are getting a bit more sort of full stoutness. In a sense.
Yeah, and it's like it's all in different ways as well, which is nice. It's not just obviously Steve was in the immediate place where it happened. Hastings, it was his officer, and I think with Kate, it's sort of she sees it more through Steve. So it's like hers is almost like a second sort of wave of reacting to it.
Yeah.
But I meant to say this last week.
Yeah.
I think but it does also prove, and I think this is why the show got really addictive for people, that almost like a Game of Thrones type of thing. But I'll always argue that I think Line of Duty does it better. It's that thing of don't get attached, because any character can get killed. Almost, it's like if they can do it to sort of somebody who looked like she was going to be Steve's new partner for this series, and she was going to be like one of the good guys, then you can't bank on people being safe in this show.
Yeah. And we also back to the episode because you're right, and you're right, and Steve gets and Steve gets interviewed by the Major Violent Crimes and by the Major Violent Crimes Unit Hargreaves.
Somebody who you love.
And obviously, Justin is sort of partner, for the lack of a better phrase, that he comes across as such a prick in the episode, especially in the scene because he is in the danger of infringing on police regulations with the assent of this and of because he's because he's asking him Steve to sort of review and to sort of review an AC operation and so he says to him Steve that 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 you had a path to get to the hospital to check on the witness and to check on the witness. What was your intentions of being in Eric's chat and he's like else to superintendent Hastings and not at all about to to discuss the and to and to discuss why they were present at the scene and Hargreaves charming. He says the pathologist had to scrape up to get out and you like you are one piece of shit the way he was
Yes, and also
Yeah,
it's blatantly obvious he's treating Steve as like a suspect. Like he had something to do with it
yeah,
almost. And like
yeah,
this is also Martin's performance. He sat there with an ice pack on his head. That's what made
yeah,
me think, oh, it'd be the same day because he's got the ice pack. Like looking shell shocked. Like Steve is so quiet and he's not got any bravado. And he sort of just sat there looking stunned. And it's like anybody with a brain could see he had nothing to do with this. And Hargreaves
yeah,
is just going in at him like he's a suspect.
yeah,
And you just think, just look at the guy. Like, really? He's just no. And you just, but I think it shows a bit of what AC-12 is seen as by the other
yeah,
departments. It's like they're seen as these sort of almost, I don't know what word, but it's like they're not trusted, they're not liked, and they're sort of always treated with an air of, oh, we can't trust you. So it sort of shows a
yeah.
bit of that, I think.
And I mean, yeah. And so and he things basically he puts in a product stuff up to them and to the end of you it says can I have a word to a few people use and like he said and he said that and have you is unscientific and critical or could on smart or officer and you know it's easy to not at all ability to see the full extent of the operation and like the same part of the episode was really well identified by well it's so only by getting
Oh yeah.
though I think that's one of his strongest scenes so far. Personally, he
Well,
was just
yeah, he was in. I sort of refer to it had as like angry dad mode. Like if
yeah,
anybody ever comes between, like has a go at an officer of his or anything, he gets
yeah,
quite little protective. So it's nice to see that side. And he has a brilliant line, doesn't he, where Hargreaves like says a smart aleck line, and then
yeah,
Hastings says, "Well, maybe you should have a talk with your guards to say like you're the ones who mucked up here." Like, and it's a brilliant little like biting put down line he does, and it's the way Adrian acts it. You just think, oh yeah, you can shut up now. You've just been
I,
told.
and because Hargreaves has that Hargreaves job and he says that's what police
Yes.
and then that's where you and that's where you see his paper. Can you give that's actually a good bit of dialogue between
Yeah,
and
the
there's
two alpha dogs. The two alpha dogs locking like butting heads, and it's like
yeah,
Hastings just looks so superior.
and you get and there's I've noticed that Hargreaves has has a strong Yorkshire accent and there was
He does.
as well. But like it suits that it suits like Barrington and he's a pretty good actor. It's just his character that really sort of irks the audience.
Yeah, and he's supposed to. I think they know what they were doing with that character. Oh,
Yeah,
we've got a guest possibly in a minute. We might have a guest. Don't do that. I've got beauties here.
Yeah.
No, I think sorry, because I'm thinking about Cat. He's supposed to annoy
Yeah.
you. That's the whole point of Hargreaves.
Yeah.
I think this also that's another thing the series does quite well. It purposely writes characters that you're not supposed to like, and they're supposed to
Yeah.
be little annoyances.
Yeah. So I'm so I'm so like so then like so so and he's the engine for on season. I used to get the phone was that did Austin or that one like it came and it kind of sort of uses it to try and get back kind of with them and to get back and good races because she's one like I'm sorry for your loss. Is there anything I can do? Like he kinda tries to use that to his own advantage to
I
try and
don't
get
know
back
if he's
on.
doing it on purpose though.
Yeah,
I think that's another thing with the way Adrian plays it. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
okay, no. I said we could have a guest. Say hello to the camera. No, go, there we go. Say hello to your people. There we go. Um, well, no, it's like I don't know if he's doing it on purpose because I remember thinking that and then rewatching it at the weekend.
Yeah,
I think it's just a bit of he's hurting and he wants that sympathy almost, and he's just instinctively almost doing it, and then she has to remind him of like, yeah, we're not good enough yet for that. Like we've still got massive issues, and
yeah,
it's like I said, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I read it a bit different that he's hurt and he needs sympathy and he sort of instinctively reached for it without thinking, oh, I can't do that anymore.
yeah. So so and so and Hastings and Arnott uninformed Hodges and Armour she passed away during 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 action and again you will eat and I the it does well that's and I think we find they will find that us kind of top the game and then as episode and particular one of the list the way that as episode is a short.
Yeah, and I think they're very good at making shots that would be mundane and boring, aren't they? Sort of have a bit
Yeah,
more because it's like it's I think it's easy to make like a chase look good or like an action packed thing scene look good, but there's so many just sort of which is funny considering the current state of a show we all used to love. There's a lot of sitting down almost and talking scenes, but they're not boring to watch. Like that's basically what this scene is. They sort of sit down and tell the parents, and like the moment with Steve and the mum, I think is really touching because it's like focused on her, and you can
yeah,
she's crying and she's trying not to like show it, and Steve
yeah,
instinctively can see it. And before that, he was quiet. It was Hastings telling them,
yeah,
and it's sort of Steve having that moment of, "Oh, we'll find them," and you sort of it's a very good moment for Steve, but in the back of your head, you're sort of saying, "Don't make promises." Sort of, don't make promises you can't keep. Almost was in the back of my head.
yeah. And I can't, I forgot about I forgot about the scene before that about um a bit because it felt because it felt like Reaper in the scene before that um, only have a bit around Ruby basically because she's a because Reaper's power in music and power as and that like she kind but she's kind of power connected into get every now and then like or maybe I think and she gives it a £10 oh,
Yeah, well, she asked for 100 quid, doesn't she?
yeah.
And it's like, okay, and then Denton's so desperate, she's like, I'll give you a tenner. So it's nice that the whole neighbor thing is continued. It's not just like a one episode thing. So it's like one of those other things, like we said with Denton, you feel so sorry for this character. And like the fact that this neighbor is carrying on after basically her assaulting her quite violently last episode, you would have thought that would have made the neighbor go, I'll be quiet now with my music, but nope, she's back at it again.
That, so so right, so we've covered was two scenes, but we're like then Kate's Eve evening at this I'll and like like Eve as um e or is up during the time that them during the time that them us use of Jordan witness and again that's when she tells and that's when she tells him Steve about the own all being made from the pub till he can a phone box.
Yeah, it's sort of nice that they're now working together again, because it was like first episode she wasn't on the case, and then she found out that Denton was trying to blame her friend. So now it's like nice to see that start again. That sort of her being informed and meeting up with Steve. It's a bit of, I think it needed it, because like the first episode was a bit of a shock with all the differences. So now they're sort of going back to what you know, which is nice.
And all this whole, and all this whole George's forget and comes up and you see how much it affects him. Steve is a character, and as well you kind of and as well you can kind of see that the bond is starting to get a bit stronger because she says if you ever need to talk, I'm here basically because the characters have lost people that they were close with, obviously in the last episode.
Yeah, and it's nice that, and you can tell Kate's being genuine. She's saying like, this is because like I sort of said, I think it's easy to forget that yes, Steve was knocked out, but he was in the room when she got murdered. So it's like it's not going to be something he can just walk off. And it's like, and this is different from the last series. This isn't like last time. That was him getting hurt, and I think that that was easier for him to deal with. It was just he had to be stubborn and just sort of wait and not give them any answers. Whereas here, it's like, how do you deal with that? And I think the way they show Steve is quite realistic. That he's almost putting like it to one side and he's just trying to crack on with work and not let it affect him.
Yeah.
But you can see it is, and it's sort of what he doesn't say almost. That you can see, yeah, this is really getting to him, but he's not going to show that because he sees it as a weakness. Because as we now can tell with Steve, he's quite proud as a character. I'd say he's quite a proud character who likes to look like everything's fine and he doesn't need help. So it's sort of like you said, with George's death is bringing these layers and it is bringing more development for the core three with how they deal with it.
Yeah. Matthew's comment just made me laugh.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to keep track. We've got a busy chat tonight.
I'm going to actually bring because it made me laugh.
Trust me, if you had a drinking game out of it, Matthew, I think you'd be dead by the end.
Yes,
you out at least.
Yeah, it's a bit of fancy. There's a bit of audience participation in it.
Yeah, it's a nice little joke. You can tell they knew what they were doing when they named the show what they did.
Yeah.
And obviously because of the way she died, it's said quite a few times in this episode.
Yeah. So you go to ask to ask questions of is for ends basically to get a description of a boyfriend because Carl he is the girl that went missing obviously and is investigating the disappearance.
You can tell she's really motivated. Yeah. Like this is when you can see the good in Denton. Yeah. Like she's a very good police officer when she wants to be.
Yeah.
And you sort of the way she's just not letting this go.
Yeah.
It's quite throughout the episode. She's really like I'm gonna find this girl. You can tell she really wants to.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's nice that it's not just a throwaway thing. You can tell by this episode that this missing girl is going to be connected to the larger plot.
Yeah.
So she's chatting with the friend, and she starts to talk, doesn't she, about who Carly was who's with, and what she was sort of doing at the time of her going missing.
Yeah, because our boyfriends apparently anything, he's basically so that there's a bit of an age, so there's a bit of an age gap as well, which is a bit of which is a bit of an alarm to the investigation as well.
Yeah, so then we go from the Carly plot being picked up. It then goes to your favourite act. One of the actors you're really excited you actually do quite legitimately like.
Yeah, so on the Oz character as character Java, hiding the deputy chief constable pops back up again, and like um, and like you can tell he's the jury teacher at the whole sort of ambush invest um of the whole sort of ambush investigation because it as he asks hard hard to get leaves his forensic has forensics found any tree um any tree season DNA أفن um um أفن perpetrate of um are basically and hard get leaves and hard get leaves for forensics were unable to find any evidence and as well they were unable to and they were unable to decipher the and they were unable to decipher the um 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 owns a accomplice actually um actually was as well.
Yeah, and you can tell now
Yeah,
that that the pressure of the press and everything that was starting to build the last episode
yeah,
is starting to get to him now, and you're starting to see a bit of oh no cat. You're starting to see that he might have a bit of a nasty side to him throughout this
yeah,
episode, and this is the start of it. Sort of the way he treats Hargreaves, who we've said he's an idiot, and you're not supposed to like him, but
yeah.
he does sort of almost take the like when he's talking to him, he's talking down to him. He's sort of having a bit of a
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a few sarcastic comments and stuff to him, but it's a bit like he's starting to show his cagey side.
Yeah. So you can, so yeah, it was hard to get thieves to sort of hang on for him, and it, because he says that he's he says that his PR means getting a you're that he will he will wants to unpass and like and like she dated girl he says what's this what's this here like he says from on hard to give just when the press conferences after me each but it goes out like up to the point. So he's kind of setting hard to get it up to the you and that's
Oh yeah, I think it's a bit of I don't want to be the centre of attention right now. Cabs and poor over like sod almost do it, but and Hargreaves is just convenient, and the predictable thing happens. Let's just say when he does do a press conference, Hargreaves.
yeah,
But then you can start to see also he's got an issue with this woman, with his PR woman, and that he is trying to sort of the fact that he's saying, oh, it's your idea, and she even says to him, this is bad, don't do it.
yeah,
So she knows it's going to end up blowing up in her face because he's technically saying it's her idea when it's his.
yeah,
So that's what I mean. You're starting to see the murky side of him now.
yeah.
And the actors, like we've said, he's good. He's a very good actor, and he can play villains very well. So they cast him right.
Yeah. So yes, and so yes, so you see him. So you see him, Steve, and sort of go to this Arthur's house to sort of kill SJ in Harlem to find out sort of inform um, more information on the ambush and how that he and how that Joe was able to gain access to the witness, um, and she basically tells him that she basically tells him that like he can Joe had hit Joe had hit my off, so so he decided to take it to his his some some rich basically and like obvious and obvious is with that kind of arms up that they've kind of like he got in the car because she is because she had assumed later on that I'm going to the garage to kill it the car, but they end up going to the hospital, and they end up going to the hospital. Oh, and they end up going to the hospital because Joe says if you don't you can go on kill your on basically so she's
Yeah,
already been well commuting and
yeah, and this is when you start to get the feeling now that this was
yeah,
planned. Like, like the fact that he could get in shows he wasn't. He knew his sort of job. Oh, and now we have a cat. Goodbye. Just yeah, it's like he. This wasn't just. I don't like I said. It was organised. That's what you're starting to get now. The vibes of that. This is very much an organised hit, almost.
yeah,
So it does start to make you think back to that witness. That what's so important? What does the witness have, information wise, that is worth all this? I think it's purposely starting now to make you think back to the witness, and that there's more to this witness. That's sort of the mystery being reintroduced. I think with the description she now gives of Joe as she knew him.
yeah.
And obviously, it's also important because this is when you start to see Steve be Steve when it comes to witnesses again.
Yeah.
So I'm currently trying to get cat hairs off me, folks, because I'm now like a mohair quilt.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just had to take care of something in the chat. There, but like anyway, moving on to the next so the next scene, so the next scene sees Steve with their air to the garage to and the information in the moon or sees but it gets told by the one person hard to get use and partner or partner that the has been exposed of by Joe and his associates by Joe and his associates of and she's a and she had get it has a CCTV each CCTV teacher Joe or Hatner are
Yeah, and it's also nice to see how like they joke about Hargreaves, don't they? So it's like, and she knows that he's a bit of an idiot, and he even says, "Oh, doesn't he call you Jolly? Isn't that the nickname he gives you?"
yeah.
So it's like so it's like a nice bit of banter between those two, and it's sort of that even she's a bit like, "Yeah, my boss is an idiot. I'm not as much as one."
And I do enjoy the and he has and that's he says, well, he's a half a minute. It's a waste. It's a waste. He says it in the most possible, and that's probably something I don't know.
It probably would be. And here's the fun thing, chat. And we want you to also answer this. Out of me and Daniel, who's more like Steve? Who's more like Kate? Because we sort of joke that we're all want to become like a bit of those two YouTube. So in the chat, who do you think? Because I think you think I'm more like Steve, don't you? With some of his one-liners.
Well, yeah.
That was quick. No, and also he's very charming. This is also, I think, a side that it's showing to Steve now. He's very good at getting like women to sort of like him.
Yeah, and
Oh God, what is it?
they will kill me. What was Jesus,
Fun in the chat now. What are
Jesus, shall we let you enjoy this one? Said,
Pinaku, I don't go around hitting people.
yeah, but I've seen what yellow and yellow killing you do kind of go about.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. So now you're all saying you think I'm a bit of a psychopath. That's nice.
Well, one more a comment or just
you are at liberty. You know what's going to happen if you do.
Just kind of leave it to consider Apple because he's the one that brought it up.
Oh, the chat's going to be fun now for the next 5 minutes. And carry on.
Right, okay.
Thankfully. Thanks. Just have you seen Lee's comment?
Oh, gee.
Thanks, guys. Now I know you all think I'm a bit unhinged.
By the way, chat, did you get a thumbs up from me? That was funny. So like so like Hastings and Armit check to see the footage and they notice always get his back to the she's and you notice Joe's get his back to this easy TV camera because in other seasons he's obviously and then Steve else he's in the Georgia was the only woman and it seems to was is
Yeah, but it's sort of the way that line said, it's a bit sombering, isn't it? Like Steve saying, "Well, Matthew, that's not really fair."
oh gee
But yeah, but I don't play manic piano. I don't play manic piano.
um it's so far you on any game you turn on
But when I fully have a mental breakdown, yeah.
yeah
That's because you said it's the trope of all baddies in TV. They play an instrument.
oh Jesus yeah uh, um emotionally so what the hell are we in a episode today have you gone to
Well, we had an interruption
Canada
from my cat, who's Beauty. I know some people were asking that's Beauty,
yeah
and I think I broke Daniel with that question. So, well,
yeah
no, because they're starting now to have the description of Joe.
yeah
AC-12 is starting to understand his link to the nurse, and now Denton gets. This is when now Denton's case really goes from being sort of a side case to linking directly with AC-12's case, because once the
yeah
description sort of gets put out on the with the press briefing that our favorite character ends up doing,
yeah
because I think that's the next thing. You see the press briefing where they show the EFIT, and you see just how badly it's going.
yeah I know this way I know this way I know this way and get there and play as confidence on another house and that's where the show was up and I've said about well I think is before all that Silver sees Silver sees and Optic are is saying that the I'm
Yeah,
saying that the I'm saying that the S have no inch the S been full when up Carl is recipients and the reporting on it.
yeah, and it's like I said, it's that theme again of sort of the forgotten crimes almost, because you had that in series one with the old guy and the kids, and he was sort of left because he wasn't important enough, and he sort of got left to the side. And now the same thing's happening again with Carly. So it's once again, I think they are trying to show the creators how we see so much in the press
Yeah,
when it comes to cases, but there's so many cases that never get the light of day
yeah.
because of circumstances, and that's what's happening to Carly's case. She's literally just been left.
Yeah, so and then yeah, and so we kind of calls out to the house to make sure she kind of keeps on side with him. But however, however she us kind of start to become suspicious um, and sister, as she said, as well, because she says, what's them? What's them? What's them? I'm about what's them? What's them? I'm on the Mexican link. It says, it says, man, I didn't stop and up, I didn't stand up with each other with trouble when it came to it, and she says, oh no, you've done, and you've done, you Oslo and that. And she goes, and then she goes, you come around and together with, and you can be people. You honest at me.
Yeah, and this is when it's starting to establish a massive bit of Denton's character, which is trust.
Yeah.
She really values trust,
Yeah.
and she doesn't like people around her who are two-faced and lie. And I honestly think that's almost why what happens, like near the end of the episode, happens with her and Kate, because Kate's MO, we saw it with Gates. She sort of she tries to get close by saying, "No, I'll be your shoulder to like cry on almost. I'll be the person you can listen to." And but I think that she's almost a bit too, I think, like that with Denton. So it sets Denton's sort of alarm going, and that's her test. That's her testing Kate. And I think if Kate would have been able to bluff, she would have been okay. But Denton just held a lie on her. So after that moment, I think marked with Denton. Denton knows something's up.
So she kind of falls into that chiver, because unlike Yates in the prior series, I think it's always a step of to be honest, she is a lot smarter than what Yates than what Yates was.
Yeah, and I also think she's a better reader of people. I think Gates. We said this. He really had bad judge of character at times, and that's what ultimately undid him. And I think Denton doesn't have that weakness. She's the opposite. She's very good at looking at people and reading them and sort of seeing their faults almost. And it's sort of somebody that anybody else, I think Kate would have been able to bluff, but not Denton.
So next she goes to she goes to neighbour's house neighbour's house in the back was left open and like neighbours out on the couch, so she basically runs down the music and runs down and runs down the oven, and then as we expect the end pound what that she never
I think there was something else on her mind for like a minute when she was by that oven, because she purposely covered her hand, and I think she had a moment of, what if I just turn this a bit more?
Yeah.
Like nobody would know almost. That's the vibe I was getting in that scene.
and cause of a bit of hesitation. So the next, so in the next part of the episode, he comes in an office, an office had a cup of tea, and like she says, sit down. He hasn't, he hasn't, um, um, he hasn't organised a personal development yet, so like she asks him, I, I'm, um, um, I'm missing persons, and she kind of uses it as a app to try to try and cheer up the musical and musical
Well, yeah,
and
because she's. I don't. Like I said, it is hard sometimes to keep track, isn't it? We've had the scene, haven't we, of when she's starting to get information on Hastings and Steve.
oh yeah, because she printed off the financial onto each of them, and like she got the superintendent to kind of sign it off so that she can use it for later on as well.
So
Um,
she's starting to
later
stack
on
the
as
deck.
well. Yeah,
She knows that she's up against AC-12. I think at that point she's starting
yeah,
to see she's not just a witness to them. So she's individually now trying to get dirt, trying to get something to protect her. I do
yeah,
think it's in her head it's protection. So
yeah,
she's already got financial records. I think at this point they've not hinted towards what she's got on Steve. It's
yeah,
Hastings with the money. And now with
yeah,
Kate, she's trying to check if her story matches what information she's found, isn't she? With the
yeah.
questions.
Yeah, I know that. You can kind of tell that she notices it's bullshit. So what she kind of accepts it up because like she says, I've got you done, I've got you done, you for your X-Men region. It's at the old and it's at the old abandoned garage. So mm, and so like can we kill them need to like need the she's a bit suspicious because it's the same garage that's part of the and it's part of the um ocean investigation.
Yeah, and like I said, it's now they're meeting now. So
Yeah,
now it's obvious that the guy who attacked the witness
yeah,
was Joe, was Carly's boyfriend. So it's like she's not just an innocent in the sense of she's somehow got herself messed
yeah,
like with the wrong crowd. So now Denton's you
yeah,
go to that location knowing that Kate will think, oh, it's part of the case,
yeah,
and it's like it's bait basically. She's baiting Kate out, but at least Kate
yeah,
has the sense to call Steve
yeah.
to say this is a bit dodgy. So she
I,
gets to the location.
and yes, she gets to the location, and she gets to the location, meets up with, meets up with, and asks her a bit about why she's at the garage, and asks her a bit about why she's at the garage, but for, um, unfortunately for her, that's when and that's when she finds out that and at the pennies she dropped from so she does as she punches in the stomach and
Quite hard. Not like a little punch.
this is a proper sort of punch and she takes the one and she says, I hate you. I hate you. And then she says, on AC and AC 12 and then she says, people have underestimated her a whole life.
Yeah, and that's an interesting line. I think it's a nice little short line that tells you quite a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell then she's always been the underdog. She's always had people think she's nothing almost. So she's had to like scrape and fight and to basically nothing's come easy to Denton is the vibe you get off that line.
Yeah. So then extends in Hastings tells Steve and wants him another corner like another like so that we can run on obviously so she's not I've been treated as a kid. I know like the first in the next nation.
Yeah, I think for a while she wasn't, but the fact she punched Kate, and that's what I said again, that protective streak in Hastings.
Yeah.
I think it's like she was already suspect. They're already thinking, there's more to her than just being a witness.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's hurt Kate, it's like, now gloves are fully off, and Hastings wants her. Now it's like a proper, we're gonna get her now because she's attacked one of us.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like that's when you also and like I think that also gets Kate's very much back up, almost like it did with Gates when it sort of she was like, I want to get him. I think this is also her moment with Denton now. To be like, I want you behind bars. Like
this is actually, or to work and in performance of the Gary of Matthews and Woman and
I don't know if Hall has got any. I would have to look that up. If she got any, I hope she did because she does deserve it for Denton in this season.
Yeah, they should probably check that out, and they probably have to tell the chat for the next.
Yeah, well, I'll check that out, Matthew, and see what awards Line of Duty got for this, and see if any of the actors got anything.
Yeah, because it'll be interesting to bring up in the next of the year as well. So you're on to something like that,
Oh no, Sudoku's already on it. By the looks of it, she got a nomination. He says, "Oh hi, Logic.
Yeah,
it's nice to see you in the chat, mate."
Yeah, so on time was
and also Cam popped in before while you were chatting. So hi, Cam. I know you're probably gone now, but you did pop in. Yeah, so now it's like they're getting ready to interview Denton.
Yeah, so
and you can tell it's like it's sort of been building up to this, the episode. It does definitely feel like this is the end part now. It's really starting to this is the big
so before she kind of plays the piano there on that, and it cool, that on that, and it cool. Like again, it's I want to them seeing kids, it's almost like something like a horror movie to be.
Yeah, it's like a killer being psyched up, isn't it? To get somebody.
Mhm.
But it's a good moment for her. You can see now it's starting to. It was getting to her before, but I think now she's really starting to realise what position she's in.
So and so during then after you she was so during then of you she was asked during then of you she was asked she was asked about this on a neighbour and she basically denies this and she basically denies this and she and and Hastings says have you ever been but I went to or anyone and then she denies it again uh, and she denies that again and so when she follow out dinner uh, so she follow out denies this assault.
Yeah, and it's. I think that is something that Denton's interesting because she's so controlled in some aspects, isn't she? And it's like she's
Yeah,
uber like meticulous and controlled, but she
yeah,
does have this side to her where it's like almost it's almost like Jekyll and Hyde.
yeah.
It's like you have the controlled side and then you have the manic, I'm just going to do something really stupid, but it's frustration. And I think the neighbor, she realizes that that was a moment of frustration, which she probably shouldn't have done because
Yeah.
it's constantly coming back to hit her. And then it's like, add that to what she's done to Kate, you can see why she did what she did to Kate. It was a power play, it was a, I know who you are. And she also does it to get the phone, which is what you see in the interview. But
Yeah.
it's basically made AC-12 gun for her even more. So it's like it's harmed her in the long run, I think, but you can tell why she did it in the moment.
But why? Yeah, but when and she was asked about Usha when she was asked about Usha again and about specific yeah, but the part of the Austin interview with she's on it that they were to option cover on avenue or whatever this today eat this called so they better hang up to they can chance to get it to the Austin um and therefore Austin interview can pull and can eat what as an audio kill out from the Austin and interview and like the basic you see rather and the type of sat nav that you use and the type of sat nav that you use retail it goes what to ox and like potential weather and potential and zone like that weather which can you reveal your and like it was I easy to take the different one. It's and the event and she and he says so. I didn't check this out and she says due to the due to the so that actually you shouldn't that's how I never checked the sat nav.
Yeah, and I think it's now that her sort of her sort of story, isn't it? It's now really starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
And sort of on something that I think we can talk about more at the end. It's interesting that if you think about series one, we were getting to this point, maybe episode 4 with Gates,
Yeah.
and we're on episode 2, and she's already like looking very weak in this moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting that they're already starting to really sniff her out and to really see that this whole story about the traffic and the route, it doesn't fly. It didn't when she first told it, but the more they've looked into it, the more it's starting to really fall apart.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and his James makes and his James makes yes, and like she basically he asks him why you do this, then is the cat answer their nest, so he was an excellent answered. And he says you do not have to say anything, but we
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's got it now. We're going through the rigmarole.
So, and then, and she says, keep the, keep the, keep her on, and like she presents him with his own and show the record. So he's now on the back, and so he's now on the back foot. So he says, when he says, when he says, actually, records have no relevance, have no relevance to this investigation against you, and we can mention it's the chara and skidder
Yeah,
and tell you the really sick is the else had your T-bones to the a financial situation and she asks these things have you to kill your financial situation and he goes and he says mm, oh and like you can kind of tell by his face it's like oh shit she's got me.
yeah. It's like I said, it's a brilliant moment because it
Yeah,
looks like they're gonna get her. Like I think if you were saying in the chat, it is shaky ground.
yeah,
It's completely shaky ground, but she's
yeah,
made it personal for them, so they're gonna arrest her. And she just sort of sits there and she gets the folder out and it's like, right, first shot, Hastings. And it's brilliant because she plays back exactly what they attacked her with.
yeah,
And that seems to be Denton's MO. Whatever you attack her with, she will then reflect and like use against you. So it's like, and you think it's
yeah,
bad enough Hastings, and then she turns to the next person who she's going to
yeah,
show up.
and yeah, and she wants to it, and then she goes and yes, and yes, I do. Like creative, I do. Like creative reviews and will take my ass and he's like, hang on a minute, how did you get? And how did you get? He's and she says that this is the house of stuff, and you know, and still did you have any like you and any um can you recall what I did in her house and and she asks, "Did you take any notes of the comp?"
And it's
And
such a catty way she says it. It's such a catty, like, oh, did you take any notes? It's very.
and she turns to the ape, and she says, "On ape, it's not worth coming," and he's working, making, and he's working. Mm, 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 mm. And she's like, he's couldn't be any words.
Yeah, and then she says, could she identify me? So she's trying to now take what Steve did, which was wrong, which is what we've said. He's got a weakness, and she's now twisting it to make it look.
He basically he says that he had no one count or something.
Yeah, but I think she's almost trying to hint that he's trying to set her up by going to the nurse and try to get in that close. So, like I said, she's taking something that he's done that's wrong, but she's twisting it to make her look like the victim more, which is what's clever about what she does with Steve.
Yeah.
And then Kate's probably thinking, "Oh, I'm fine," and then she turns to Kate.
Yeah. and she basically brings out the mobile phone that she and then she says to something, is this your phone? And then she says yes, and she says you're in hysteria. All hysteria needs for an interesting eat, and she's so like he's a phone, and she's like you, and it's against the I
Yeah.
and then she says,
sentence sort of
you get, and she basically says, we'll continue this conversation at a later time. Is that suit you? So Hastings and shuts off the Aiken brother Aings and brother Aings and Toyota was and he basically he says to that you hold here and like it says to you organize the cost a day and it's a transfer rather than this protection and things.
Yeah, now we have
and so we have access access to the files and and download the web and since the unfortunately for the and you have to start and investigation all over again because it goes.
But something that's clever, they don't tell the audience who it is.
Yeah.
You just see their reactions.
Yeah.
And I bet you were frustrated watching this episode at this point for the first time.
Yeah, and yeah, was kind of putting someone on pillow isn't under of the
because you know it's a big deal by their reactions.
Yeah, and so I'm and go to this and go to the station with your you'll be held in custody, and she basically says, "If I'm innocent, why am I basically? How can
Yeah,
you
but
let this
this,
happen to
yeah,
me?"
but this shows the
Yeah,
naivety, I think, of Denton.
yeah,
That maybe they would have, but you've just shown them all up really badly on tape. You basically, because you could tell why she did it. Like I said, it was protection, but she's
yeah.
purposely gone probably for the most sensitive weaknesses they all had. With Hastings, it's money, and then that's a bit of a clue, I think, to his wife. It's like, oh, so now you know he's got money problems. And what did the wife say when with the dinner?
Oh yeah, yeah, you're picking up the bill. That's a onto the bill.
So they're starting now to, without saying it explicitly, giving you hints to what maybe is the situation with him and his wife. So you
Yeah.
can tell that would be sensitive. With Steve, it's his known, which the audience knows, his his behaviour with women and flirting and getting too close.
Although well, Emmons not a shrinking violet either
And I
in
was
that
going to say,
regard.
and then Kate basically said to her, "I know you're having an affair."
Yeah,
So it's like you've purposely gone after all these weaknesses. Why would these people help you?
yeah,
So that's what I mean by naivety of Denton. She, it's like she almost doesn't understand social cues and how people work at times. Because
yeah,
I remember watching it again, I'm just thinking, well, why would they help you? You've just made yourself the biggest enemy.
yeah.
So but I think Steve, even after what she did, I think Steve does give her a bit of a look to sort of say,
Yeah.
I know this is a bit shaky. When, especially when she's in the cell and she's looking at him.
I
I think there's
think
a bit of a look on Steve.
um I think he basically you can tell that he's innocent, but like and but like he's still allows her to be held in custody as a sort of as a sort of act to the revenge for you tried to take me
Yeah,
sort of out.
yeah, and that's what I mean. And I think is it when you said you don't get what she's trying to accomplish? That's what I mean. I think if you think about what the hint she said about always being underestimated, I don't like liars, like all these things. I think you can tell she's had a life full of disappointment, full of being used, maybe, or sort of being underestimated, as she said to Kate. So
Yeah.
that's damaged her. That's made
I
her,
know,
I think, assume the worst of people. And the only
and
way she knows how to
yeah, I
survive is
know, and yeah, I know this way we forgot to mention that I did being sort of into the shit as well after the press about this camera and page 8 in the newspaper as well, and the only way he is to stop that from being published any further is to crack he says with so he's I know what a shit is with so
yeah. Like I said, I think with Denton, she's her own
yeah,
worst enemy. She's
yeah,
clever, she's controlled, but she just has these moments
yeah,
of not thinking things through. And like, because I think I think it's telling that she only did that basically freeway attack as soon as she got arrested. It was her trump. It was her ace. It was her. If I'm in a terrible situation that no other ways of for me, I will
yeah,
use it. But like you're thinking, and I said it's going to make the enemy of probably some of the people who would be on her side technically, but she's made herself become the sort of number one suspect almost.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to write down your scores in the chat so we can see them. And what would you rate this episode? You guys are writing down your scores. I'll ask Sharon to of her score and your closing thoughts on this episode as well.
Yeah, I think I gave like I think it was 7 because I said it was a good opener, but it was settling. I think this is an 8. It really kicks it up now. It really starts to go into depth of Denton. And the fact that I said she's arrested by episode 2. So I think, and this is why I'd really like series 2. It seems to always have another level. It seems to always be able to go a bit more sort of shock, a bit more of these characters. And you're also starting to see how the sort of the OCG from last series and the sort of the criminal element and characters like Denton, that this is, if you thought series 1 didn't like black and white, series 2 is all grey. It really is muddled at times, but in the good way.
Yeah.
So I think this is really starting now to kick up and to really start to like almost grab you by the throat, to use that phrase, and say, right, you need to watch now, you need to pay attention.
Yeah. So Sadaku gets a 7, which is surprising because he gave up the last week's episode an 8 out of an 8 out of 10. So he's put down a rating for this week's episode, which is surprising. And so and Richie gives it an 8 out of 10, and Matthew gives it gives it a 9, and I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 as well. Some good character development in this episode, and you can really tell the direction of the series, because I felt the last episode was a bit sort of yeah, but this episode sort of balances it out, and it's in it's in no where the story's going basically, and so I'll give this a 9 out of 10, and the performances as well have gotten stronger with the new characters as well, so 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, and it's like I said, we're only on episode 2, folks. And as you can tell by the title for the next one, Daniel quite liked episode 3.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so if you've not seen the title in the next screen, I said basically the best episode so far of the show, so you know where this one's going to go. I think I might have to have this another out of 10 and break the whole ratings, and to be honest with you, so that Akko says, I think I might be reversing my bigger
I did that in series 2, Sadaku, a bit. I gave some lower scores, knowing that the last 2 or 3 episodes were the best in series 1, so I can understand that.
Thank you for the chat.
Thank you, chat. It's been lovely and busy tonight, so thank you. very much
yeah,
everybody.
and yeah, so the next review will be next Sun and 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 next Sun. Yes, will be both of the available to you next review. So make sure you're still subscribed and you're still notified. Smash the like button on the
Well, I don't
stream.
think you have to because I had a cat on stream. That's the internet rules. You have a cat on your stream, you have to give likes. So please give likes for Beauty being Beauty and interrupting as per usual.
Smash the like button on the stream or share it probably a channel
That's
and
true. He's going to use that now every stream. You do know this.
or share it the channel and
I'm not going to hear the end of this.
or she'll have to go out and buy a piano and start talking psychotic. And she's already halfway in with the picture. So she might get out the piano. So yeah.
Well, it's a good thing it wasn't my dog because then you wouldn't see anything. You just see a big dog on screen.
Oh God, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, so obviously it's obvious when emails if you enjoyed it and leave me a comment after on if you haven't joined in the live chat because I want to read the comments after the fact and as well if you're writing down or if you couldn't make it to the live broadcast as well because it helps me and Charlotte gain an overall consensus for the episode.
And YouTube likes it when you leave comments because YouTube doesn't like us sometimes.
Yep, I mean, yeah, because I should be on like 105 subscribers, but YouTube keeps being shut head, so make sure you're still subscribed, right, guys? Because I still get people and I still keep getting people into me or being unsubscribed from your channel, so it's important that you guys you guys check to see if you're still subscribed, right?
Yep. So just check you up.
Yeah. So I'll see you in the next Sunday for the review. Which as well, thanks for the support because it's something that we're doing that's different to what's expected to the chat. I know, and if I won't get off stream, shall that'll website.
Oh, this is now going to be a thing.
Yeah.
This
So
isn't coming from the person who says I'm most like 11.
well, I have to devise not meant to be
Oh no.
honest.
But then
Yeah,
Matt could be scary as well, I suppose.
yeah. And guys, you'll see you next on Sunday for episode of series and episode the Via series and and a special thank you to the Sada Matthew and 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 oh energy for your support on these themes because you guys have been very interactive with me on social media about telling us your thoughts on the series as well as my
Chat as
reviews.
well. Docu's always like, "Oh, I've watched this," or keeps me up to date. So we do like it when we know you guys are also enjoying watching along with us.
Okay, so see you soon, guys,
See you soon,
and
everybody.
for the next and stay safe.